Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. It is the first day of August. I'm excited. It's time to get to start everything fresh and new, all the new plans for the month. You know how I'll enjoy doing that if you've watched my channel for very long. First of all, let me say thank you for so many of your lovely comments about me announcing the name change to my channel and how much I feel it better reflects my life and my family, and my concept of stitching and how I like to approach stitching. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate it very, very much. So now let's talk about August stitching. The very first thing that happened today was my bingo call, my first bingo call in my little private bingo group. And that number was number 13. And for me, it was a whip go call. One of my whip go calls was to stitch on the stocking of the month. That was number 12 for me. So I did. I pulled out my stocking of the month because not only was it a whip go call, it happened to be one of my monthly requirements for the determined stitchers. So I pulled it out and got started on it. I did my 100 and some odd stitches. I actually did quite a few, and I posted it in my bingo group and I kept going, and I'm glad I did because I wound up getting to use it twice today. So in one of my Facebook groups, the Daily 30, there's a challenge every week. It runs for 2 weeks, but there's a new one every week, so they overlap. But I've written about 4 a year since I've been in the group, and this year was no exception. And they put up my last one that I wrote called Embroidery Hoops. And so it was a bi-weekly challenge, and I went in there and read it and said, I'm going to do it. I couldn't even remember what I had written as far as what the prompts were going to be. But as it turns out, the prompts, I'm doing the first 5 prompts, and they are to stitch on something where you use a hoop or Q-snap. Stitch number 2 is stitch on your largest project. Number 3 is stitch on something that's a popular project that you've seen other people stitch. Number 4 is to stitch on something that has an object with handles. And number 5 is to stitch on something that could be finished and displayed in a hoop. So I've jotted in what I feel would be good whips to do that with. And it's important this time because I don't assign the number of stitches to the prompts that I write. Those are assigned by the admins in the Daily 30 group. And mine happened to be 400 stitches this time. I actually had a friend message me and say, did you do that? I said, no, I didn't. Anyway, because it's so many stitches and you can't double dip in the Daily 30 with anything else in the Daily 30, my acrostic in the Daily 30 requires 300 stitches. But today, since I was working on my stocking, as it turned out, when I got the first 400 stitches, actually I stopped at 438. I posted it in my Embroidery Hoops weekly challenge because I knew I had at least 400 stitches. And then I started stitching on it again and counting my stitches to make sure I got to 300 stitches. And I got well over 300 stitches because I finished it. And all total, it was 902 stitches. But this one is precious. Don't you love it? I adore it. I think it is so cute. Very, very cute and very subtle. I love it. Anyway, that's done. So that met my first letter of my Daily 30 group. Well, as it turned out, I had used this 8 Maids of Milking in both my 24 Hours of Cross Stitch and my magazine monthly challenges as well. So that was a very productive stitch. I got first monthly requirement today. I got my first letter in all of my acrostics, and I even got my first prompt in Embroidery Hoops, which is the weekly challenge that I'm doing in the Daily 30 group. Now, that's not going to happen again. That is just too productive. But I am really tickled at how pretty these things look. Here's number 7 and number 8 because they're on the same piece of fabric. This is a new piece of fabric. I filled up the last one. So now I have 9, 10, 11, and 12 to go on the rest of this piece. So put it away till next month. I don't need to do anything with it again until September, which is wonderful. So that is my stitching for today. I do not know if I'll get to do any more than that because it's time now for me to go and cook supper. And then I'll try to watch some TV with my hubby. We like to watch a series together every night, if we can. And some nights I Zoom, and so we don't get to do that. So tonight I don't have a Zoom, so we're gonna get together. But before I say good night, I wanted to share something with you. Recently I mentioned that I went to Hiawassee, Georgia, and in addition to the cross-stitch shop there, there's also a quilt shop right across the parking lot. And I was looking for backing fabric for my stockings, these stockings that I'm doing. And I just wanted to show you the fabric that I chose for my backing fabric and how I think they're gonna look so pretty with this fabric. I'll show you the pieces. Don't you think that's gonna look good together? It's got the right colors of the red, the right colors of the green. It's even got a little bit of the blue, kind of a bluey green color to it. But I just really felt like that went well together. And I wanted something that was a little bit bright, but a little bit dark, not like white or off-white to go with it. And I thought that was pretty. So there you go. Candy recommended I get a little bit of extra fabric so I could fussy cut the flowers and things so that the little smaller motifs like this could be on the back of the stocking. So I did get a little extra to make allowance for that. So thank you, Candy, for telling me that. She's a quilter and she knows how to do all that. She knew about that. So I've put my backing fabric in my project bag. So when I'm ready to finish all these, I won't have to go looking for it. It'll be here, which will be great. Okay, that is what I had to share with you today. So I am looking forward to a lovely weekend. My husband's going to take a long run tomorrow, and I'm going to go help my friend Donna do a couple of things. We are going to try to put together a game for a stitching event we're sponsoring in a few weeks. It's just a group of us ladies that are getting together to stitch, but Donna and I have come up with a couple of fun games to play, and we're supposed to be putting one of them together tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that. And I hope to get some more stitching in tomorrow. I'm going to tell you my plan to attack these crazy prompts this month because of having this one, this extra one I'm working on that requires 400 stitches in addition to the 300 stitch requirement in the daily 30 acrostic, is that I am trying to make sure projects I put on the embroidery hoop are not in my daily 30 acrostic. Now today, because I was trying to finish that stocking, it didn't matter because I wanted to finish it, so I wanted to put as many stitches in it as I needed to. But going forward, I'm going to want to touch as many things as I can, and so I'll be putting different things in the embroidery hoop than I would be in the acrostic. And I'll have to work on the embroidery hoop first because it's only active for 2 weeks, where the acrostic is there for the whole month. So I'll prioritize the embroidery hoop stitches before I will do the daily 30 acrostic stitches, simply because I have more time to do that one. Anyway, there you have it. Well, thanks again for stopping by. Thanks for all the lovely comments. Thanks for voting on what you want me to include in the new starts for next year. I'm going to see how that goes and tally all that up for the next week or two. And then I'll come back and tell you, you know, what won in that case. I also need to let you know, I did the random comment generator on the 31st, and the person's name that came up is Clap JL. That is their YouTube name. I think this is a lady I know. I think this is Julia. I think I met her through the Garon retreat. And so I've messaged her to tell her that she won on her comment. But because I'm not sure if that's her correct email, I'm just waiting to hear back from her. So Julia, if you haven't contacted me already by now, by the time you see this, please do, and send me your mailing address so I can get these beautiful 4 patterns in the mail to you. And thanks everybody for participating in that giveaway. I really appreciated it. So that'll be it for today, and hopefully I'll have more stitching to share with you tomorrow. And in the meantime, hey, come in and sit and stay and stitch. Happy stitching, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. This is Dina. Today's August the 2nd, and I've had a fabulous day. Went over with my friend Donna today, and we put together the makings of a game that we're going to play at a retreat coming up at the end of the month. And we had so much fun putting it together. So we got that ready to go. And that involved a trip to Walmart. But when we got back and we got the game finished, we sat down and we stitched together. And that was such fun. Played with Harley and just had a lovely afternoon. So now I'm waiting on my friend Marissa to get where she's traveling for her vacation. And then hopefully we're going to get to chat a little bit this evening. But in the meantime, I'll be stitching. And I decided today to look at my spreadsheet for what I needed to do for the month of September. And this is how I'm tracking everything. So I have my cross sticks down this side. I have my monthly requirements right here. I have the dates and the kilometers for the beginning of the Tour de la Vuelta. And then I've got my stats that I'll track as the month goes by. So for this month, in the month of August, I had set myself several monthly requirements. I've mentioned them before, but I'll briefly run over them again. To participate in the Tour de la Vuelta, to stitch the 8th stocking of the 12 days, which I did the first day of the month, to put 500 stitches in some projects I hadn't touched last month because of the Christmas in July stitching, one of which was Autumn in the Village, one was Let Love Rain, one was December Quilt, and the final one was Spring Quaker. And then my final one is a new start that I'm going to have with my friend Lori for the Autumn Berry, and Donna and Dee, our planning buddies, are going to do a berry as well, even if it's a different berry. So those were my monthly requirements that I wanted to track. So knowing I was going to Donna's today, I decided that I would take my Spring Quaker with me because I knew that she had a Lowry stand I could use to hold my scroll frame. But I also liked it because I'm using Valdani threads on this one. And it's an easier one to see. Quakers are pretty easy to stitch, I think. I think they're beautiful. And so I took it with me. And today, my monthly requirement was 500 stitches. And I got, 379 of those at Donna's house. And then when I got home, I finished it up for a total of 516 stitches today. And this is what it looks like now. I've added this word and I added this entire motif and got in my 516 stitches. I'm excited. So now I can, the next time I pick it up, I can move over and I can fill in what goes in between here, and then I can just keep moving over. But I may have to scroll up because these motifs get pretty large over here. But I'm excited. That's 2 of my monthly requirements, my stocking and my spring Quaker that I've done on the first 2 days. And one of the reasons that I went ahead and did this one today is that my bingo call for today was to stitch on a monthly requirement. So that's what I did. So that hit my bingo call, but it did a little more than that. You know me, I like to double dip. And so my daily 30 acrostic requires 300 stitches. And so today I did 300 stitches in this, which is by Rosewood Manor. So I used it for the R in paper piece. And then I also had used it in my 24 hours of cross stitch, which is a Rocky Travels. And I used it for the S in Travels for spring Quaker. So one place I used the designer's name, and in the other acrostic I used the name of the pattern. So used it for different prompts, but it worked out just fine. So that has been my stitching for the day. I'm excited about it. I really enjoyed it. And now I'm probably going to get dinner together for my husband and I. And then hopefully I'll get to stitch and talk with my friend Marissa this evening. So hopefully Marissa and I will be able to sit, stay, and stitch. Happy stitching, everybody. Welcome back, everybody. It is a little bit later on August the 2nd, and I just want to share with you my stitching that I've done for today. After my stitching that I accomplished for my monthly requirement earlier today that I shared with you. So today I looked at all of my requirements, my acrostics and everything, and I thought, you know what, I have not done my temperature tree. And it is the 2nd day of the month and I have not finished July. So I pulled out my temperature tree. This is the pattern by Sarah Hughes, Stitchin' Mommy. You can find it on her Etsy shop. Her information is here about this pattern. She is a prolific designer of temperature charts. This is just one of them that she does, and I really liked it, so I've been working on it this year. And normally I stitch the leaves for half of the month about midway, and then I have a half a month at the end. This month, because of all my Christmas and July stitching, I didn't stitch any of it until today. I did the entire month today. It was 275 stitches, but it went really well. I only had 4 colors. It's been hot. It's been hot. And it's been within the range of only 4 categories. And some of those it barely got in, you know, the bottom of one and the top of another. And so what you find there is mostly the same color, because almost all the temperatures, with the exception of about 5, were in the same range. So this is the July branch here, and it's all done. So this will be August coming up next month. Looking forward to that. I think it's a beautiful tree, and I love it on this fabric. This was hand dyed by my friend Marissa, and so I'm loving it, loving using it. In fact, Marissa and I were talking tonight while I was stitching on this. That's one of the reasons that I pulled it out, because I knew I could stitch on it while I was talking. Marissa was headed on vacation today, so she was driving on a long trip, and we were going to talk after she arrived. And as it turned out, she hit a terrible, terrible downpour, rainstorm, and wound up pulling over on the side of the road. And she knew it was going to take her a while to get to her destination. So she messaged me and said, can you talk a few minutes? So we spent a little time talking while she waited the rain out. And as soon as it quit raining for any length of time, think she said about 5 or 10 minutes it had stopped raining. She said, I'm going to get back on the road. And I said, I'll talk to you later. So she is still traveling as I'm recording this, but I hope that she'll be off the road before too much longer and be able to get some rest, because she's still got a long drive tomorrow for where she's headed. So that's my day today. Has had a great day and lots of stitching accomplishments, so that's good. Well, I am going to say goodnight. I'm going to get on down to a restful time with my hubby and my puppy, and I will talk to you guys hopefully tomorrow with more stitching. Good night. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. This is Dina, and it is Sunday evening, August 3rd, and I'm here to talk to you this evening about my stitching for today. Well, my bingo call for today was to stitch on a Christmas in July whip. And one of the whips that I used for Christmas in July was my December quilt. As you will recall, if you've been watching me at all, this is going to be a Christmas present for my friend Cheryl. And the last time I worked on this, I had started working on these railings here, and I said the next time I worked on it, I wanted to try to finish all of the half stitches that are in the, the faded wallpaper. And then once I got that done all the way to the end, I was going to come back over here and start working in that direction. And I was able to do some of that today, and I'm excited about it. I want to share it with you. So I put in 589 stitches today, and this is what it looks like. So this side over here is complete. This is as far as it goes out here, and it's actually finished all the way down to here. So that is all that's going to be there. You can see here the beginning of the teddy bear and the little doll head. That was there from the previous stitching, but I did all of the back stitching, not back stitching, but half stitches in the end of the piece. And it goes all the way out to here. There's some of it even out in here, but it's hard to see. It's a little light colored. Anyway, so then I came back over to this side and I began working on this strap of Jingle Bells. And I was able to outline it, and then I did the bell part. I did one color all the way down to all 4 bells, and then color completed it and until I got them all done. And the last thing I did was fill in the background color of the brown. And that helped a lot. Now, the reason that I did that is so that on the back, when I finished a color, I could run down to the next one, down to the next one, down to the next one. And normally I wouldn't go that far. But knowing I was going to stitch all this background over those threads, I went ahead and did it. And I'm going to turn it around and show you. It looks just fine. You know, it's covered up all those long threads. So it worked out just great. So that is how I try to do things that, if I can, where I'm going to use the same color very close together. If there's background stitching to fill in later, then I can cover up where I've had to run a little bit of the stitch. So now, let's pull back up the picture. This is where I got to today. And so this is what I have left on this end. And then I can roll everything up and I'll come down here and do the bottom portion. So I'm thinking that I'm at least a third finished, maybe a little, maybe half, because I just have this little side here and this bottom here, which isn't quite half. So somewhere in between that's where I'm at. But this is supposed to be a gift from my friend Cheryl for this Christmas. And so you'll be seeing it a lot more frequently now that it's already August and I'm not finished with it. And so for that reason, I had put it in my monthly requirements this month to stitch at least 500 stitches in it. And so I did. I got that done today with my 589 stitches. So I'm going to put it away and go fix dinner for my husband and I, and we'll go from there. But I just wanted to stop in and show you my stitching. It also met one of the acrostics of the letter for V in Rocky Travels, which is in the 24 Hours of acrostic. The V in the word travels I used for Paula Vaughan's December quilt, because that's the designer of the December quilt. And that is in this Quilt for All Seasons books. I know J.C. Murray Does Stuff is stitching on quite a few of these, and I know Taryn is as well, if you watch either of them. And if you aren't watching them, you should. So that's the book it's in. So that's my stitching for this evening, and that's all I have to share until I talk with you more, hopefully tomorrow. And I hope you have a great week. Happy stitching, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. This is Dina. It is December the 4th, and I'm here to talk to you about my stitching so far today. Well, this morning I decided to start with my bingo call, and my bingo call for me was to stitch on an acrostic whip. So I looked at my acrostics, and I also looked at my weekly challenge in the Daily 30 group, the embroidery hoop challenge. And I needed to stitch on one of my acrostic pieces, Hope and Love, for both an acrostic. I'm using it in the 24 Hours of Cross Stitch for the K in Rocky Travels for Teresa Kogut, who is the designer. So I needed to stitch on that, and then I wanted to hit the challenge of the embroidery hoop in Daily 30 group. And on one of those, you needed to stitch on a piece that contained something with handles on it. So this is my cut and pasted up, redone version of Hope and Love that I'm going to be stitching. And you can see the basket has handles right here. And the pot has handles. The flower container has handles. So I felt like that qualified, and I pulled this out to get some stitches on it. And I wound up putting in 442 stitches in it today. And I'll show it to you and tell you where I put the stitches. So I came underneath here, and I added that whole flower, that whole piece there. And then I came along here and I did the first color in these trees to help place those. And then I counted down from here and I started the first leg of the word never for the end there. So I was just working my way down this way and across. And that got me the 442 stitches. So I'm really pleased with that one. Now, this one will go away for now, but I have already started working on my board for AB Singo this year because Caroline and Robin threw us a curveball. They changed it up. So in addition to coming up with something for each letter of the alphabet, you have to come up with a number 1 through 9 because they're doing the board with AB Singo across the top like Springo. And it gives you 7 across and 5 down to get your board. And so that requires you to put 35 things in there. And with the alphabet, even if you use every letter, that's only 26. So this year you have to come up with something for each letter of the alphabet, but you also have to come up with something from 1 to 9. And I decided I'm using this one for one of those numbers, because I can stitch a motif for each number. For me, it's going to be the flowers in here. And I have more than 9, so I can use it for any number that I need. But I am saving this to do that flower during that time so that I can get those 9 or however many I need for the numbers in there. So that'll let me finish that bottom, that all the way to the bottom, and then I'll just have this to finish over here. So it's getting close. I don't know yet whether I can even say whether it'll be a finish for this year or not. Thinking it might wind up in my end of the year, 3 months to the finish line. After September, putting the stitches in it there, it'll probably be something I would like to put in my 3 months to the finish line. So it could be a finish this year. Anyway, it's a Teresa Kogut pattern, and I have it in my project bag that I made after stitching that Teresa Kogut pattern, and I think it goes great in there. So love that. I'm going to put that away now. So the next thing I've decided to do for this afternoon is I'm probably going to pull forward one of my recent Christmas starts and just put some more stitches in it. I would like to push those smaller ones to finishes as soon as possible into next year. So I'm going to grab one up here in a few minutes and just put some extra stitches in it today. I do have a Zoom call tonight, and it is something that I could stitch on while talking, and so I may do that as well. But hopefully I'll have some more stitching to share with you either later tonight or first thing in the morning. And I hope you are having a great day, a great start to your Monday, to your new week. I certainly am, and I'm looking forward to see what more I can get done today. Happy stitching, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. It is August 5th. This is Tuesday, and I want to share with you my stitching so far today. Today, I decided to tackle my bingo stitching, and my bingo call today was number 1 on my board. That is the smallest whip. So thinking back over all the new things I've started for Christmas and what I had in my whip pile, one of my smallest of all things was these little tiny Christmas animal ornaments. And I had started 4 of them. And so I just pulled it out of my bag, and this is the one that was still in the Q-snap. And so that's the one that I started working on. And I actually worked on it almost all day today. And I stitched 980 stitches in it to finish it. So here's the finish. And it isn't that precious. I love it on this blue, this light blue fabric. I think that looks like the sky. I think that's wonderful. So this one where they're outside caroling under that little candle lantern has stars in it to show that you're outside. And there's another one of these that has stars, which is the little bunny rabbit mailing the Christmas letter. And then the other 2 pieces that I've started are both inside, and they don't have stars on them. So I thought about not putting the stars, but because that did designate outside, I went ahead and did that. So this is my first one of the 4 to finish. Now this is one of those that does the abstract back stitching. It works on this piece. It looks really cute, but I will tell you, I'm not normally a big fan of that. But this one is small enough and detailed enough with all the shading and stuff that it actually turned out much better than I anticipated. And I will show you the difference. These are some that I've already started. You can see there's one where there's an animal there. Here's the one with the letter at the mailbox. And you see how you can see the colors and you can see the shading, but it's really not popping until you backstitch it. It really does not. This looks great. This you can tell what everything is. So really cute. Loving it. I hope you like it. And that is another finish, which is wonderful. I'm excited about that. So now I'm going to put this away. I'm going to start looking at what I need to stitch on for my other, either my monthly requirements or my acrostics or gift stitching, or just what I think I need to be putting my time and attention onto. And I'll come back later, hopefully, and share it with you as to what I chose to stitch on. In the meantime, I thank you so much for coming in, sitting down, staying, and stitching with me. So thanks for doing that, and happy stitching, everybody. Hello again. It's just later on today on the 5th of August, and I'm here to share with you some more stitching. I'll get the pattern down over here so I can share you the picture of it. But for one of my daily 30 acrostic letters today, this is for E in paper peace. It's for the first E in the word peace. I said I was going to do Erica Michael's Reindeer Games. Now, this is one of the pieces I started during my Christmas in July. And so I wanted to come back to it. And this is what it looks like. I'll remind you what it looks like. And I had started part of the top row up to the page break, and I had done the letters D, A, for dancer, I think, had started the word D-A. But I had done all the little trim up in here to the end of the page break. So when I picked it up today, I knew I needed to get at least 300 stitches in it, and I did. I got 314. So I finished out a couple of words. I finished the word dancer, so I added the N-C-E-R. Then I came over and added the P-R-N-C-E-R for prancer, and then I added the elf, the L and the F down there. And then I had these two snowflakes stitched, but I didn't have these, so I stitched these 3 snowflakes. And that's what got me to the 314 stitches that I needed to meet my acrostic in the daily 30 for this project. And so that's an awesome accomplishment. I'm delighted to get that done. I need to take a picture now and post it. So that means that I can now pick something that will be easy to stitch tonight, because I have a Zoom call with some stitching friends. There's a couple of us from Georgia on the call, and then there's several other people from other states. And so we try to talk about once a month. And tonight is the night, so I'm excited about that. But I got to pick out something that I need to stitch on or want to stitch on that's going to be easy to do while I gab and visit. So that'll be fun. I probably won't come back tonight. We usually talk fairly late, till 10 o'clock or so. So I'll probably head on to bed after that. But I will try to remember to share with you in the morning anything that I get stitched tonight. In the meantime, until we speak again, happy stitching, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. It is Wednesday. I've lost today. It's Wednesday. It's August the 6th. And I'm here today to share with you some stitching that I worked on yesterday afternoon, evening, and then this morning. So yesterday, after I finished my stitching for my bingo call and my acrostic, and did a huge amount of stitching for those yesterday, then when I put all that away, I said, okay, let me look at my acrostics. Let me see what else I can pull out to stitch on. And I needed to stitch on Christmas silhouettes for my 24 hours of cross stitch. It's for the C in Rocky Travels. And I pulled it out to stitch on it. And I started stitching on it yesterday for that prompt. And I wound up stitching on it all afternoon, all the way through the Zoom call last night, and got 763 stitches in it yesterday. And when I did that, I thought, wow, this is going really fast. I'm really enjoying it. And I'm not that far from the bottom. So I pulled it out. I just left it for this morning, and I pulled it back up and finished it. So This is my Christmas silhouette that says Happy Holidays, Joy. I love it. I think it's beautiful. This variegated floss is just gorgeous. This is a Karen Water Lilies Hyacinth. And that's what I used. And I did the same thing I do when I use that highly variegated of a floss. I pull out a long strand until I see a color pattern start repeating. So you'll have all these colors gradiating into each other, but then all of a sudden you'll notice that they start over. And when I do that, that's where I cut it. And then I just divide that into equal thirds and hopefully try to cut where the same color winds up on the both sides of the cut. So when I get it to a third, as close as I can, I'm going to cut that color where I can have some at the end of one floss and the beginning of my next strand. And then I lay those 3 strands on my desk here that I work at. And I start with one, I pull two strands of floss from there, and I stitch with it. And then when I get to the end, I match the color in the next one, and I keep going. And then when I get to the end of that one, I match the color in the third one. And what that allows me to do is to go through the entire color gradient over and over again. And I just think it is beautiful. I love this color. I love these beautiful, they're jewel tones, but they're a little pastel looking. And they're on this gorgeous fabric. This fabric is actually from Grace Note Fabrics. It's called Serenade. And mine is a 32 count Lugana. So it's made this very small, beautiful banner. And I don't know if I have a frame that this will fit in, but I'll look and see. But I think it's just gorgeous. Just love the colors. So thanks for letting me share that with you. This morning when I pulled it back out, I had another 337 stitches to put in it to finish it. So in the last 2 days, I've put in over 1,200 stitches in here to finish it up. When I started on it, I was right here. And I stitched that in the last 2 days. But when it's, no color changes for me. It's just pulling the threads out of the right strand. And you didn't have to worry about it. You just, every little X, every little motif, every little thing on your pattern, you do that. Now this is actually grafted as a monochromatic, but it's got 2 colors in it. So there were 2 emblems or 2 symbols, and I just ignored that and just looked wherever there was a symbol somewhere I put a stitch. Made it very easy to do that way. So thanks for letting me share my finish with you. And so now my bingo call for today is to stitch on a project that's part of my monthly requirements that I've set for myself. So I have a couple of choices on that. I could pull out either Autumn Village or Let Love Rain, because I've already put my 500 stitches in my December quilt and my spring Quaker, and I've done my 8th Maids Milking stocking. So I only have 2 more requirements left, and that would be either Autumn in the Village or Let Love Rain. So it is right at lunchtime, and my husband has been running this morning, and we're supposed to have lunch as soon as he's finished. So I'll probably will just get everything set up and maybe answer some comments and do some things like that till he calls and I meet him for lunch, and then I'll get busy stitching. I may not even finish my 400 stitches today because this is Wednesday and we start choir back tonight. So I may not get as much stitching time today as I normally would, but I wanted to invest my stitching time on my finish, and I'm delighted with it. And thanks for letting me share it with you. And whatever I pick to stitch on tonight, I will share it with you either later this evening or tomorrow when I finish my 500 stitches, which is my monthly requirement. I don't have to have all 500 for my bingo game. So I could actually do 100 stitches on it today and meet my bingo call and put it away if I wanted to, and just can't go back to it by the end of the month. I have to get 500 stitches. So we'll see. We'll see what I'm in the mood to do. Anyway, I hope you're having a great day. I hope you are enjoying your choices in your stitching and that you are making good progress, but mostly that you're enjoying every stitch. Thanks for coming and watching me. And as I say, my new channel name, come on in, sit, stay a while, stitch. Happy stitching, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. This is Tina. It is much later on August 6th. It's almost time for me to say goodnight, but I wanted to come and share with you the stitching that I accomplished today. I was working on my monthly requirement, not only for the monthly requirement in and of itself, but because it was my bingo call to work on a monthly requirement today. And I mentioned to you that I was going to have to do that, and I had two choices I could choose from. I decided to pull out Let Love Rain, and I needed to put in, for the bingo game, 100 stitches, and I needed to put in, for my monthly requirement, at least 500 stitches. I enjoyed stitching on this all afternoon, all evening. Right before it was time for supper, I finished 526 stitches, and I was at a perfect spot to stop. So I am going to roll this, unroll it a little bit actually, so you can see what I accomplished. So this is where I got to. I completed the row. I had part of this flower to finish. I had this border line to extend. I had part of this flower and part of this flower to finish. And so I just worked on the two extreme ends and got everything caught up. This border, I had already been there, and then I just wrapped this one on around far enough that I could roll it up. But there you go. That's it so far. That's what I have completed. So let's talk about how I'm going to go from here. If you've been watching me for a while, you may have remembered that I mentioned that I have decided I am not going to stitch this whole thing as it's charted. It's too much. It's too big for me. So I have decided that I'm only going to do a portion of it. Sorry for the creaking sound of my roller frame here. I'm getting it put back on a little bit for storage. But anyway, that'll be ready the next time I start working on it. And I'll put that back on my frame. But today I spent a good deal of time, and I took my working copy of this pattern and I cut and pasted it like paper dolls. I cut it up. I cut out the row, the big floral flower pot that I'm not going to stitch. And then I sat and worked the bottom to get the corners around the way they should. And I worked in the middle of the design from where I am now to what will be the bottom. What can I include? How's it going to look when I take it out? What all do I have to take out to make it fit? A lot of calculations today, but it works. It's great. I got the corners to line up perfectly after I took out a section, and I am tickled to death now that I've got the whole pattern kind of laid out so that I can keep working. The next row is ready to start, and so I plan on making this a monthly requirement again next month to put another 500 stitches in it, because 500 stitches makes a huge difference. It's how I finished all of the things that I finished at the first half of the year that were my annual requirements. everything I wanted to finish by the end of the year, I finished by June. And so I decided, hey, that's working really well. And I just picked my next oldest whips. And there were 4 of them, and that's what I made my annual requirements for this month. Next month, I may change it up a little. I'm going to keep Let Love Rain as one of the 4 because it was started as a birthday start in 2022, I believe. It's one of my older whips now, but I have a big anniversary coming up next year. Our 50th wedding anniversary is next year, and so I would love to have this finished in time for that, but that means I only have a year to finish it. I don't know if that's doable. I'd love for it to be doable, but I really don't know. It's a lot. There's a lot left to stitch in that. So I definitely have to stitch on it a lot every month in order to progress it, to get it to that, even to hope to get it done. But that's one of the reasons I put it in there. I'm glad that I took the time today to cut and paste it so that I know it's going to work, especially if I want to put a whole lot of work into it. I want to know that's going to work before I put any more going in it. So it's ready to go. The next time I pull it out, I'll start on a new row. That'll be great. So it's late. I'm going to say goodnight, and I will talk to you again, hopefully, tomorrow. Happy stitching, everybody.